Hey guys, I'm Nisa. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to talk about how I became a financial analyst because it was definitely not my career path when I was in college. I wanted to become like a CPA and go the accounting route, and I just didn't end up doing that, and I'm so glad that I did. I'm in a really good spot in my career right now. I'm still really young. I've only been an analyst for like a year and a half, but I love the work, and I just wanted to kind of let y'all know how I got to this point. It really started when I took my very first accounting class in high school. I was going to school in Hawaii at the time, and I had a really good teacher. He taught accounting, like the base level accounting. I think they only had like one accounting class, and it was just the very first introductory accounting class, which I took just because you had to pick like electives and stuff. So I picked that, and I was really good at it. I loved the work. I loved debits and credits. Like, I was just really good at accounting in that first class. And so I thought to myself, like, this is something that I can do when I, get older. But then fast forward to 2016, we came back to Texas, and they didn't offer any accounting classes at my high school, like as an elective. So I kind of forgot about it. I completely forgot that I had taken that accounting class in high school in Hawaii. And so I just completely forgot that was even an option. When it was time to come to pick a major, I was applying to colleges. I got into UTSA in San Antonio. And when it came to picking your major, I went with bio. I decided to major in biology, which I don't know why. I think it was because I had watched so many YouTube videos on like medical students and like medical vlogs, and I just became obsessed with it. So I majored in biology because I was wanting to get on the med school track, like pre-med track. But come the first semester as a freshman at that school, I got a fat F on my biology, my very first like biology class ever. And that was when I realized that the biology, medical school, science was just not for me. I knew if I couldn't get that class, I wouldn't be able to do like organic chem or anything like that. Like, it just wasn't clicking for me. I remember talking to my boyfriend at the time, he's now my husband, kind of like saying, like, I feel like such a failure. But side note, if you fail a class, you're not a failure. It's just, maybe it's just not for you. Or maybe it is for you and you want to keep trying at it, which is what happened to me. I was talking to my family and my boyfriend and decided to change my major to accounting because I completely forgot that was even an option as a career. So I changed my major to accounting, took my very first like accounting class in college. Obviously was really good at it, but with that, when your major is accounting, you're in the College of Business, right? And as you're getting your degree, you also have to take math classes, which I was so nervous about because moving from high school to high school to high school, I went to 3 different high schools. Math is accumulative, so every time I moved, it just kind of messed up the way I learned. I didn't learn in the order that you're like supposed to learn. So my math was terrible, and I knew that if I didn't do good in my math class that I would, obviously fail and then get dropped after so many times. You can't go back to that major, or you can't go back to that college of business. So I didn't want that to happen, but it did happen. I took my very first college algebra class and got a fat F in that class, which I remember crying, and I went to my professor and just like sat in his office during office hours and just cried in his face. He did not feel bad for me at all. He was like, well, if you're trying, you should at least get like a C or a D, but you got an F. But I didn't want to change my major just because I was doing so good in my accounting classes. I spoke to him, and he told me that there was like a math lab on campus. There was a bunch of tutors there that could teach you and go over homework with you like over and over and over just so you can get it. So I would go to the math lab super early in the morning, like right when they opened, and I would go to work like around 11, stay there until 2, and then I would go to my other classes for the day and then go back to the math lab and stayed there until they closed. I was literally there dawn dusk dusk, whichever one. I was there early and really late every single day. And again, this was just so I can just to pass my algebra class. Because if you take a class and you fail it, the school that I went to, I don't know if all schools do this, but the school that I went to, if you take a class and fail it, you can take it again with the same professor. And if you get a better grade, it can replace that old grade completely. I took my final, then the following week I saw my grades getting posted, and I got an A in my algebra class. And I was so happy because it was so hard for me. Like, I know college algebra, a lot of my friends in College of Business, they like flew through it, but it was so not easy for me. It was very difficult for me. Coming from someone who's just struggled all their life in math, and for me to get an A on college algebra, I was so happy. I was just really happy that I got those grades. Fast forward to the fall before COVID started. I decided to transfer to A&M Kingsville because UTSA was getting too expensive and I had to take out a student loan. I was freaking out because, you know, I've seen so many videos of people who take out student loans and then they're in like debt forever, or it takes them a really long time. It's just like on their backs, like just weighing on them. And I was so worried that that was gonna happen to me. I decided like, okay, I'm just gonna transfer to a smaller school, which A&M Kingsville, if you know anything about Kingsville, it's a really small town. I moved back to Kingsville because my parents were living there at the time. And I continued my accounting degree at A&M Kingsville. So that was the spring, I don't know what spring it was, but the spring where COVID was kind of starting, I think. I'm not really sure on the timeline. But during that time, I decided like, hey, I don't know anyone. I mean, I knew people from like high school who went to that school. I did have some friends that I remembered from high school that were going to that college at the time. But I really didn't like, because, you know, I came at like an awkward time of the year. I really didn't like know, I didn't have a group or anything. So I decided to join, not a fraternity, it was co-op, co-ed, so one of those things. The co where it's like girls and boys can join the club. It was a co-ed fraternity. I decided to join that club, that organization, just to meet new people and like get involved with business and all that, because again, I was majoring in accounting, so I didn't really know anything about, well, what kind of careers were gonna stem from that. So I met this guy and he was telling me like, oh, I'm an accounting major too. I just got done with an audit internship. And I was like, when he told me that, I was like, I completely forgot that like it's my junior year and I need to start applying for internships. But he was telling me I worked at this CPA firm in Corpus and it is a paid internship. And I was like, no way, like get me connected somehow. So I gave him my resume. He gave my resume to a staff accountant that worked at the firm, the CPA firm in Corpus. They reviewed it. I had my interview and I got the internship. I was working there for about a year and a half-ish, I think a year. And then I graduated. I was working there when I graduated college. And at that time, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to go the CPA route. I was loving the work. I was doing 1065s, partnerships, C Corps, S Corps. I was doing business returns and personal tax returns. I worked in tax, not audit. So I was really busy. I wasn't sure at the time if I wanted to go on the partner track, just because I like the work. I don't know, like it just wasn't enough for me. And I know that sounds weird because it's a lot of work, but for one, the long hours I was working, you know, I was an intern, so I got paid, but I also got paid a time and a half for overtime, which is great because at the time I dropped my Subway job. I was living on my own and I was going to school online because you know, when COVID started, a lot of colleges said, okay, we're going to start doing online classes, which was great because that meant I could work a lot more, and I could just do my homework and my studying at night, which is exactly what I did for like a year. I would go to work early in the morning, get home late, or like around 10. It was about an hour drive, 45-minute to hour drive. So I would get home around 10 p.m. And that wasn't every day. That was just really more like during the really busy like springtime area. But so I got a lot of overtime in, which was great because I was making my own money. But it was an experience for sure. I just didn't like how I was in an office all day. Like I didn't like how I was sitting on my computer and just that was all I did. And I know when you're a partner, you get to talk with clients and, you know, make recommendations for them. But for me, I was just having like an uneasy feeling whether or not I should continue like working at a CPA firm. So that's when I started doing more research. Right when I graduated, I started doing more research, like what can I get as someone who has an accounting degree? Well, it said you can either go the public route, which was working for a CPA firm, or you can go to industry, which just means that you're working for a company and working for them only. I decided that I wanted to leave the CPA firm. I just didn't know where I wanted to apply to. I started going on LinkedIn, looking for like entry-level staff accountant jobs, entry-level finance jobs, like anything that I could get my hands on, just wanted to see. So I was applying for jobs in Houston, and I saw this job for an oil and gas company that was called like a rotational program, which is where I didn't really know what that was. But I read the description, it just said like they were hiring students who had just graduated, and I literally just graduated. So I applied to that company, and then about a week later I got a call, had the interview with a new company. I did really good on my interview, and I felt really good about it, and they kind of explained to me about like more about what the job was about. I didn't really say that sentence right. They explained to me what the job was about, which the rotational program is where you move to different sectors of the company in that accounting/finance world, and you're on different teams, and then once you graduate from the program, teams can offer you a full-time position. Sometimes they don't, but you can get an offer and then you'll be in that team permanently. So some of the groups were like finance, audit, like a legal tax team, stuff like that. It was just in different sectors of the company, and that was a global company, which I thought was really interesting because I could travel and stuff like that. I did get the job. I was really happy because I was moving to Houston, but I was kind of sad, and I felt bad for, you know, I had just made staff accountant at that new CPA firm, or at the CPA firm I was interning at. I had just made staff accountant, and then I had to turn in my resignation letter, which I felt really bad about. It was just really bad timing. I moved to Houston, and then I started my career as a staff accountant. And the first program that I was in, or the first team that I was in, was the FP&A group, which I had never heard about. I didn't even know what FP&A was. I didn't really know what to expect. And so I started my first team. I met my manager, and there were senior analysts that I worked with, and then I got put into the job straight away. So typically you're in that position for about 6 months, and then you transition to the next team. That didn't happen for me. I had started, and I really loved the work that I was doing. So I was given the responsibility of, at the time, it was 8 different locations along like the southeast plus the northeast area. So I was given 8 different locations that I was responsible for, that I was the financial analyst for. I worked closely with the operations managers, which I love. They were great people. You know, my family, before my dad joined the Army, he worked in oil and gas. So I kind of I'm like not super unfamiliar with like the oil and gas realm. But it was a new industry for me, and I didn't know all of the terms, like what a SBOP is, or BOP, or like VAL. Like I didn't know any of the lingo, a part of being in that industry, so I was a little nervous. And I was nervous because I know the oil and gas industry is like dominated by men, but when I got there, that was just not my experience. Like my whole team was full of women. You know, my boss was the finance manager, and then her boss was the finance director, I want to say, and then her boss was the VP of finance. So I was surrounded in a team of women, which was nice. And then also the guys that I worked with, it really wasn't what I thought it was going to be. You know, I thought they were going to be like scary and grumpy and didn't like me, but because I was, you know, young and new to the industry, I didn't know anything about what they operated on, anything like that. But that was not the case at all. They were really, really good, really easy to get along with. And then my team was great. They really helped me understand what all of my responsibilities were going to be. It was a really pleasant experience. I was in that program for about 3 months when my finance manager offered me a full-time position to be a part of her team. And I immediately took it because I just loved the work so much. I knew that I didn't want to go into like auditing or anything like that. But I just knew immediately when I was in that team and like 3 months in that I wanted to stay a financial analyst. She offered me the position like full time to be a part of her team, and I took it immediately. So by month 4, I was an official financial analyst. So I was working as a financial analyst with that team, and with the responsibilities that I had with those locations, I had to forecast for the income statement, their P&L, the facility's P&L. I did a lot of accounting work still, which I liked because, again, I liked accounting. So I did a lot of accounting work, and then I would say about 60% of it was accounting. And, well, not like straight accounting, but a lot of like process improvements, like other things like that. And then the rest was financial analyst work. So it was kind of a good experience for me to like get my hands in and kind of start learning. But then fast forward to a year later, I wanted to focus more on like financial modeling and like Excel modeling. And I realized that I wanted to do more financial analyst work because, again, I did a lot of accounting work and a lot of like process improvements, but I wanted to be really invested in like budgeting and forecasting and Excel modeling, and that position just didn't give me that. So fast forward to October 2023, I started applying for new financial analyst jobs that focused more so on like Excel modeling and forecasting and budgeting, because I wanted to get more on the finance and less on the accounting, just because I really enjoyed the work. And I did find a job. I interviewed with them. I had a really great interview, and then I was offered the position like a couple weeks later. Yeah, it was a couple weeks later, and then I started in November of 2023, and it's now December of 2023. I've only been there for like a month, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I love my team. It's been a great experience. It's heavily focused on Excel modeling and dashboards and Power BI, and more so on forecasting and budgeting, which is exactly what I was looking for. So I am excited to continue my career in FP&A and kind of see where it leads me. But that is how I became a financial analyst. I wasn't really planning on it, when I was going to college. But I ended up here and I'm really enjoying it. I think if you're majoring in accounting or finance in college right now, joining an FP&A group is an option that you should keep open, because it really expands your ability to communicate with people. You're doing presentations. Sooner or later, I'm going to start doing the presentations for my group at my new job, just like I was at my old job, which I'm looking forward to that. I know that a lot of accountants join like Big Four or go into like a CPA firm, which is great. I think that's a really good career path that can make you a lot of money and be prosperous, when you're older, if you want to become on the partner track. But for me, I didn't see it happening that way. I don't know if I'm gonna ever get my CPA license, just because it's not really needed in FP&A. It's useful, like if you have that license, but I think for me, and having my MBA is going to be just enough, which I'm supposed to be graduating this upcoming spring with my MBA. I'm really excited, and I'm ready to finish because I'm not a fan of school. I know I do good in school, but I'm not a fan of it. So I'm really excited to finish up school and then just kind of focus on work and other things, other stuff that I want to get to. Yeah, I would say that if you're debating whether or not to become a financial analyst. It's a really good route, and you can become like a finance manager, director, VP, and then maybe one day CFO. That's kind of the route that I'm on now. I'm still really young in my career. I'm excited to see where this job will take me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was kind of long. I'll try to shorten it. I'll try to shorten the video, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.